One of the things we're looking at on Sunday is it has been remarkable how the collection of America's intelligentsia, not just in the political world, look at the newspaper editorials, every Fortune 100 CEO, every member of the Bush family, no living Republican president, you can go on and on and on. There's this, every supposed leader in America is saying, don't vote for Trump. And you know what kind of impact that has had? What does it move the polls? Maybe a point? Maybe a point? It's amazing. It's a lack of influence from America's collective leadership that should scare the living daylights out of America's leadership.
A planned changing of the guard. Chuck Todd took time at the end of the show to say he's stepping down as the show's moderator. Now, it's unclear when Todd's last show will be, but he told viewers it will be sometime in September.
What is the objective here by Democrats?
Look, what is the big objective here? Why do you do this? The real objective is to prevent him from ever holding federal office ever again. And so the one constitutional way to do it is the impeachment process.
First, it's important to note impeachment is the process, not the outcome.
The conviction at the trial, and if he's successfully convicted, then it just takes a simple majority vote. Is the impeachment process. You impeach, the conviction at the trial, and if he's successfully convicted, then it just takes a simple majority vote. Then it just takes a simple majority vote. Then it just takes a simple majority vote.
Wrong. Wrong.
It then takes 2/3 of the 100-member Senate to convict and remove a president.
If he's successfully convicted, then it just takes a simple majority vote.
The Senate must convict with a 2/3 vote.
Simple majority vote to ban him from holding federal office again, i.e. he can't be president ever again, 2024 or any other year. But also, let's not forget everything that has happened in Georgia and all the evidence that's circulated there. And if he is successfully convicted of a crime and he's a felon, that also prevents him from ever holding federal office again.
Bullshit.
And he's a felon, that also prevents him from ever holding federal office again.
You remember, there is no law prohibiting him from running in jail.
And wearing an orange jumpsuit.
And wearing an orange jumpsuit.
Can you imagine?
The law allows him to be in jail and be the president.
And if he is successfully convicted of a crime and he's a felon, that also prevents him from ever holding federal office again.
So let's bring in James Sample with us live here. He is a constitutional law professor at Hofstra University.
There is no bar, no prohibition on a convicted individual, even a convicted felon, even an incarcerated individual running for the presidency of the United States. In theory, an individual could be in a prison cell and president of the United States at the same time.
And if he is successfully convicted of a crime and he's a felon, that also prevents him from ever holding federal office again.
MSNBC's Chuck Todd is one of those trying to change the subject, making the outrageous claim that liberal bias does not exist.
Sleepy eyes Chuck Todd. He's a sleeping son of a bitch, I'll tell you.
He mentioned you at a rally. It was that infamous rally where he's talking up and he's like, I was on a show, Meet the Press, with sleepy eyes Chuck Todd, that sleepy son of a bitch.
Yeah.
That's the president of the United States, like just straight up dissing you, and then you have to go and just be a journalist with him. Does he even remember that, or does he think it's a joke?
My favorite, though, response was when my mother called me up and said, you know, the president owes me an apology.
Wow.
I'll let you figure out. So, wow.
Katie, how can he, with a straight face, claim that there isn't liberal bias?
Because he's in a bubble, a liberal bubble, so he can't see or look in the mirror.
That is why Trump is so upset. He had this false narrative that resulted in him being set up by James Comey on January 16th. Then he has a special counsel appointed that has hampered his entire investigation, his entire administration. And now, once that was proven false, he would like to know, and I would like to know, and I know his supporters would like to know, Where did this all come from? Entirely irrelevant to this point.
Why a Fox News conspiracy propaganda stuff is popping up on here? I have no idea.
It is not.
I have no idea why we're going here.
That is
Senator,
because
I'm
this is
asking
underlying
about,
exactly why President Trump is upset and why his supporters are upset at the news media.
Okay, this is not about the media. Senator Johnson, Senator Johnson, please. Can we please answer the question that I asked you instead of trying to make Donald Trump feel better here that you're not criticizing him?
The hits on your family, the attacks from the president, from members of Congress, the fact that that's what we spent 3 months publicly having to deal with this. How's it impacted you?
You know, a president can't just fight. The president has to be able to forgive, has to be able to reach out.
Can we please answer the question that I asked you instead of trying to make Donald Trump feel better here that you're not criticizing him?
I can only imagine the anger you must have at him individually, the cruelty that he's trying to do to a father and son like this. I don't know how. I'm impressed you haven't lost your temper.
Well, look. My son's a brilliant, honorable guy. My son's a brilliant, honorable guy.
Reports strippers used sex toy on a drugged-out Hunter Biden. Not only did he impregnate a D.C. stripper, he also had sex toys used on him by dancers at the Hustler Club in New York City.
You hear Chuck Todd saying there's no liberal bias.
Remember Tim Russert had Meet the Press, 4 million watching on Sunday.
Great guy.
Right? First place. Now Chuck has it, barely 2 million in third place. And his show on MSNBC barely gets 700,000 people, okay? They had to bump it because it was so poorly rated. It is ranked 30th.
How do you know, are you confident that you know that gender is as binary as you're describing it? Are you confident that it isn't a spectrum?
I am.
Do you know this as a scientist?
Chuck Todd is struggling to understand in his midlife crisis why people don't like him. And like most liberals, he's blaming other people. You don't like him because you don't trust him because he was wrong on Donald Trump in 2016, wrong on Russia, wrong on the border, wrong on the laptop, wrong on the lab leak. So when Chuck Todd says there's no liberal media bias, that's how I know he's biased. If he would just admit he was biased, we could play it straight.
Every day I wake up unhappy because I know 40% of the country thinks I'm lying to them, thinks I'm making something up.
I was going to ask you about that.
And
the credibility of the media was down before Trump.
Of course it was. Ironically, one of the entities that has driven the credibility of the mainstream media down is a member of the media, right? I mean, all Fox does for a living is deride the rest of the press.
Chuck Todd is a disgrace to humankind. How this guy pretends still to be a journalist to this day is an embarrassment. Calling out this network, hey guys, listen, I don't usually do props here. Here's an article, okay? Let's say Fox News at the top. Let me read you the headline here. Ukrainian efforts to sabotage Trump backfire. That says Politico. That doesn't say Fox News.
That's our biggest problem. Our credibility problem is because one side does nothing but raise credibility questions about the press. It's not been helpful, and I think we didn't fight back for 20 years on this stuff, and we're in the situation we're in.
I'll take it at your word that you're ethically bothered by Hunter Biden. I'm curious, though. You seem to have a pattern.
Are you not?
I seem to have a pattern. I'm a journalist. I have to deal in facts.
Are you not?
I deal in facts. So, Senator, my question to you is, I'm always worried. I have skepticism of both parties. I sit here with skepticism of a lot of people's work.
Chuck Todd, who works for NBC of all places, the network that hosts Roswell Rachel, who for 2 years hosted people swearing the collusion hoax was real. We're the conspiracy theory network?
You know, Chuck, you know, part of the problem, and this is pretty obvious to anybody watching this, is you don't invite me on to interview me. You invite me on to argue with me.
You can go back on your partisan cable cocoon and talk about media bias all you want. I understand it's part of your identity.
What's the degree of pressure that the president is feeling right now about the Mueller investigation?
Boy, it certainly looks like, remember the old commercial, never let them see you sweat?
Yeah.
I feel like we saw the president sweating in real time this week. Apparently, he didn't like answering those questions, and he let us know about what he thought about the Mueller probe.
On the Russia investigation, are you concerned that you may have
I'm not concerned about anything with the Russian investigation
down?
because it's a hoax. That's enough. Put down the mic.
Right now, polls show most Americans disapprove of President Trump's handling of the coronavirus crisis. And these trends suggest that down-ballot Republicans are being pulled down by the president's performance as well.
But don't you dare go on the air, you partisan hack, you loser, and call this network out, because we have nailed this story for 2 straight years while you've poked fun at us and poked the bear. That was a disgraceful episode. This is very upsetting what happened with this guy. He needs to resign and apologize.
Please get vaccinated. If you know someone who's not vaccinated, find a way to convince them to get vaccinated. Literally, the only people dying are the unvaccinated. And for those of you spreading misinformation, shame on you. Shame on you.
I am your voice.
People are needlessly dying because of your misinformation. Think about it. I don't know how some of you sleep at night who are doing this for a living on television.